Hey kids, I am so excited to teach you how to play the game of chess. Chess is one of my favorite games to play. I could personally play for hours and hours on end. You might be asking yourself, why should I learn how to play chess? That's a great question. Here are 5 reasons why you should get started. Number 1, it improves your memory. Number 2, it enhances your reading and math skills. Number 3, it promotes critical thinking and creativity. Number 4, it encourages and rewards hard work. And number 5, it's just plain fun. So what exactly is chess? Chess is a board game played between 2 people that sit on opposite sides of each other. Chess is a really old game that started almost 2,000 years ago. The chessboard contains 64 squares of both dark and light colors. The board has an 8x8 grid. We have squares 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And we also have squares A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. Looking at the numbers on the chessboard, we have horizontal rows that are called ranks. These numbered squares go from side to side. We also have vertical columns that are marked by letters called files. These lettered squares go up and down. We use this system to help us know the position of our chess pieces, just like the game of Battleship, where you call out the shots. Here are 2 examples. The white king is on D2, and it moves to C3. The black king is on F6 and moves to F5. So how many pieces does each player get? Each player gets 16 different pieces. 1 king, 1 queen, 2 rooks, 2 bishops, 2 knights, and 8 pawns. The goal of the game is to checkmate the other king. How is the chessboard laid out? We start with the white rooks being placed on the 1st rank and the black rooks placed on the 8th rank. The rooks go on all 4 corners. Then the knights next to them, followed by the bishops, and finally the queen. The queen goes on her collar. The white queen goes on the light colored square, and the black queen on the dark colored square. The king goes on the remaining square. The 2nd row, or rank, is filled with pawns. Which player goes first? The player with the white pieces always moves first. Players usually decide who will go first by either flipping a coin and guessing heads or tails, or another way is having one player guess the color of the hidden pawn in the other player's hand behind his back. Let's discuss the 6 different chess pieces. We are going to look into how they move and how to checkmate. Each of the different kinds of pieces has its own shape for moving. Most pieces cannot move through other pieces. Only the knight can jump over anyone that gets in his way. No 2 pieces can ever share a square with another piece. However, they can be moved to take the place of an opponent's piece. That is how you capture the enemy. Next, let's discuss your team members. The king. The king is the most important piece, but also the weakest piece. Since losing him means the end of the game, the king needs his team to protect him. The king can move 1 square in any direction, to the side, or up and down, or diagonal. The king can never move into a square where he can be captured. You can't lose the game on purpose and sacrifice your king. If your enemy ever moves their king where you can capture it, you can't just take the king from him and say, "Sorry, you lose." Make sure to tell your opponent they can't move there, and let them move to a different square. Next, let's test your skills and see if you know whether the king can move on a certain square or not. Can the king move here? Yes. Can the king move here? No, because the king can only move 1 square at a time. And here? Yes. Next, the queen. The queen is the most powerful piece. Unlike the king, she is very fast. She can move in any one straight direction, forward, backward, sideways, or diagonally. She can also move as far as she wants, as long as she does not move through any of her own pieces. And regarding all pieces, if the queen captures a piece, that is the square she will land on. Let's test your skills with the queen. Can she move here? Yes. Can she capture this piece? Yep, she can. And this one? No, it's not in her path. Can you see this piece go from the bottom to the top of the board? Yes, because no pieces are in the way. Next, the rook. The rook moves like the queen, but cannot move diagonally. It can move forward, backward, and to the sides. Rooks are like the cannons of chess. Can the rook move here? Yes. Can he move there? No. Can he capture that piece? Yes. Can the rook move all the way from the left side to the right side? No, because a pawn is in the way. Next, the bishop. The bishop is the other half of the queen from the rook. It moves as far as it wants, but only moves diagonally. Each bishop starts on one color, light or dark, and must always stay on that color. So the bishop is stuck to the color it is assigned to. Let's try to put the white bishop on the dark square. Ah, see, you can't. Luckily enough, the bishop's partner covers the other color. One bishop can cover the dark square, while the other bishop covers the light square. Bishops work well together because they can cover both colors on the board. Can the bishop move here? No, it's not part of its path. Can the bishop move here? Yes, you are right. Next, the knight. Now, why did they call it a knight when it looks like a horse? Isn't he supposed to have a rider? Sometimes they tell you that it's called a horse, but the official name is a knight. It's okay if you want to call the knight a horse, though. I won't tell anyone. Knights move in a very different way from all the other pieces. The knight moves 2 squares in one direction, and then 1 square in another direction. It moves like an L shape. Here is how a knight moves. The knight is the only piece that can move over other pieces. If other pieces are in the way, it isn't a problem. The knight can just literally hop over the other pieces. This is what is so cool about the knight. Some people say they can hop like a bunny. Another thing that is neat about the knight is that when they always move to a different color square than they start on. So if they start on a light square, then they will always end up on a dark square. Last but not least, the pawn. Half of your starting team is pawns. Pawns are like foot soldiers. There's a whole wall of 8 of them. Now, pawns are unique. They move one way, but capture another way. They move forward, but when they capture, they go diagonally. Pawns can only go forward 1 square at a time. Except for their first move, when they go forward 1 or 2 squares. Pawns can only capture 1 square diagonally in front of them. They cannot go backwards. And the pawn is the only piece that can get blocked if a piece is directly in front of it. Our next topic is special moves in chess, and there are 3 of them. Number 1, promotion. Pawns may be small and weak, but they still have big dreams. They want to be the hero in the end that rules the chessboard. They are the lowest piece on the board, but can become the most powerful piece. Because pawns have one more special ability. If a pawn reaches the other side of the board, it can become any other piece. Well, except another pawn, or a king. This move is called promotion. A pawn is usually promoted to a queen because she is the most powerful piece. Only pawns can be promoted. No other pieces can do this. A cool trick that you can do if you already have a queen on the board and you would like to promote your pawn to a second queen is to take your bishop and put it on top of a rook. Since the rook and bishop each play half of the queen, you officially now have a second queen. Secondly, a move called en passant. This is a rarely used move in chess, but we still need to go over it. It's called en passant, which is French and means in passing. If a pawn moves out 2 squares on its first move, and by doing so lands on the side of an opponent's pawn, that other pawn has the option of capturing the first pawn as it passes by. This special move must be done immediately after the first pawn has moved. Otherwise, you can no longer capture the other pawn. Our third move, castling. Now, castling is a very useful move in chess. It allows you to do 2 important things. Number 1, put your king in safety. Number 2, bring out your rook. This is the only time in chess you can move 2 pieces at once. This is a huge move because the king is protected behind this castle wall, and the rook can become more active. Castling also protects against intruders. Castling can be done on either the queen's side or king's side. However, you have to follow these certain rules. It must be the king and the rook's very first move of the game. There cannot be any pieces between the king and the rook. And the king must not be in check or passing through check as it moves. Now, the whole purpose of the chess game is to checkmate the opponent's king. This happens when the king is put into check and cannot get out of check. So our next topic we're going to discuss is check. There are only 3 ways the king can get out of check, and we're going to call it CPR because we're trying to help the king stay alive. Letter C, capture. In this example, the bishop has moved to put the king in check. The knight could capture the bishop, which would take the king out of check. Letter P, protect. It means to block. You could put a piece in front of the king to keep the king safe. It's like dodgeball. If a ball is coming at you, a teammate could sacrifice his or her life to block you from getting hit. You would be safe, but your friend would have to die in the process. This is okay because you're protecting the king, and without him, the game is over. Letter R, run away. If a piece is attacking you, sometimes you can just move out of the way. Here's a little questionnaire for you. What piece is checking the king? The queen, right. Where can the king run? He can move backward, diagonal, or he can go straight back and capture the pawn. Which king is in check, black or white? The black king, right. Now which piece is attacking it? Good, the knight. Lastly, checkmate. This means to kill the king. When the king can't escape out of check, the game is over. This is the time to shake the other teammate's hand and say, good game. So is this move check or checkmate? It's checkmate because the king is in check by the queen and the king has nowhere to move. Next, we're going to talk about a draw. Sometimes the chess game ends up with no winner or loser. There are 5 reasons why a chess game may end this way in what's called a draw, which means that no one wins. Number 1. A stalemate is reached. This is where the king is not in check and yet does not have another piece to move. Here's an example. As you can see, the king cannot move anywhere on the board without being in check. He has another piece, which is the pawn, but the pawn is unable to move because the opponent's pawn is blocking it. Number 2, the players may agree to a draw and just stop playing. Number 3, there are not enough pieces on the board to form a checkmate. For example, white only has a knight and his king, while black is stuck with just his king. Therefore, it's impossible for white to get black into checkmate. Number 4, the draw is declared if the exact move is repeated 3 times. Here's an example where both white and black do the same move 3 times in a row. This last rule is rare, but we'll still go over it. Number 5, 50 consecutive moves have been played where neither player has moved a pawn or captured a piece. Now I want to talk about 4 essential chess strategies. Number 1, use all your pieces to deploy and develop. To develop your chess team, you want to get all your pieces out and into the game. As you can see, white's whole army is just sitting on the back rack. You can also say that the pieces in the back rack are like bench warmers. They're just sitting on the bench waiting for the coach to put them into the game. And you can't score any points from the bench. Good news, you are the coach, and you have the power to get them into the game. So let's play through an opening as an example. We can start out with white developing a knight. Now the knight is active in the game. Another move, white can push this pawn forward, which would allow the bishop to come out. Now you can see that all 3 of these pieces are actually doing something to fight your battle in the game. Number 2, control the center, become the king of the hill. It can seem overwhelming when you first start a chess game and you don't know what to do because there are so many pieces. So I'm going to show you how you can create a strong opening. While we are developing pieces, we also want to attack the center. These 4 squares in the center are the most important squares on the board. If you can control the center, you can dominate the entire board. From the center, you can attack your opponent and defend your position. The center is like the high ground of chess. It's like the game King of the Hill. Whoever controls the top of the hill wins the game. For example, if I have my knight in the center of the board, my knight can control up to 8 different squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We can see that this is a very strong place for my knight. Now if I have my knight on the side of the board, it can only control up to 4 squares. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Therefore, my knight is stronger in the center. Most pieces are strongest in the center of the board. Here are some steps to getting started in the opening of your game. As I mentioned before, in the beginning of the game we want to think about how to control the center. Our first move could be moving a pawn up 2 squares to d4. In this way we are positioned to attack the diagonal square in front. This also helps get our bishop out. Black, on the opposite side, could do the same move with pawn to d5. This would also help black get his bishop out. White's next move could be to get the knight out. A general rule of thumb is you usually want to get your knights out before your bishops. Knight could move out to f3. From here it can attack the center and get a piece developed. Black could also develop his knight by moving to c6 on the opposite side of the board. By doing this move, it attacks the center and puts some pressure on the pawn. Next move. White could develop by getting its other knight out to c3. Now that that knight is attacking the center, Black could mirror this and move his knight out to f6. If Black moves its knight to the other square, it isn't as strong of a move because the knight would only be attacking 2 squares. So the best move would be to f6. That way the knight is attacking the center. White's next move could be to get out the bishop to f4. Black could develop by also getting his bishop out, but the pawn is in the way. Instead, he could move the pawn up 1 square to g6. Then White could move one of his center pawns up to e3. That forms a nice chain reaction, which also reinforces the center. This also allows the bishop to get out. Then Black can move its bishop out to g7. Even with the knight in the way, the bishop is still aimed for the center, so this is a good move. Then White could move its bishop out to attack the knight, to b5 or to d3, which reinforces the center and puts pressure on the pawn. Either move is good. Then the last move that needs to be made before we cover the next strategy is Black needs to get his other bishop out. A good move would be to attack the knight at g4. Number 3, protect your king castle early. A strong next move would be to have White castle on the king's side. This is important because castling protects your king by forming a wall with the pawns, and also gets your rook out. Another way you can think of your king is a little baby, because we want to protect our baby. And now my king is stuck behind a little fortress, or you could even call it a baby's crib. Black's next move will copy what White just did, and they will also castle on the king's side. Now that we've done this, we can develop the rook by moving here to reinforce this. Fourth, don't give pieces away. Please don't just give your pieces away and tell your opponent, "Here you are, I'm giving you a gift." Each piece is valuable, and you can't win a game without pieces to checkmate. Here's an easy system that most players use to keep track of the value of each chess piece. A pawn is worth 1. A knight is worth 3. Bishop is worth 3. A rook is worth 5. A queen is worth 9. And of course, the king is infinitely valuable. At the end of the game, these points don't really mean anything. It's simply a guide you can use to help make important decisions about your pieces while playing. Next, to review, let's go over 10 basic opening rules. Number 1, open with a center pawn. Number 2, develop with threats. 3, move your knights before you move your bishops. 4, don't move the same piece twice in the opening. 5, make as few pawn moves as possible. 6, don't bring out your queen too early. 7, castle as soon as possible, preferably on the king's side. Number 8, always play to gain control of the center. 9, try to maintain at least one pawn in that center. And 10, don't carelessly give away your chess pieces. Okay, this next part I love because it puts everything we just talked about with development and controlling the center in much simpler terms. It's called the 10 golden moves. It's a very specific strategy. In chess, at the beginning of the game, we want to bring out our army, get it ready to fight, and also make sure our king is safe. Remember, our king is our baby. So what follows are called the 10 golden moves. Another name for it is the bull's head. You'll understand that in a minute. So, white brings out both pawns to the center. The two pawns in the center are known as the dual. You can then develop one knight here, the other knight to c3. These are the first 4 golden moves. Now white brings out a bishop, 5 golden moves. Then brings out the other bishop, 6 golden moves. The king castles, 7 golden moves. We bring up the queen to make room for the rooks, 8 golden moves. Then both the rooks move to the middle of the board, 9 and 10 golden moves. These are the 10 golden moves. The 2 center pawns represent the forehead of the bull, and the bishops represent the horns of the bull. The rest of the pieces are like the body of the bull. This whole army is now ready to attack the Black King. You may not be able to do all these exact moves because your opponent may prevent you, but this is what you're trying to accomplish for the beginning part of the chess game. So you may be wondering, what is the quickest way to win in chess? That's always a good instinct. This is a common question, and when most people think of a game of chess, they think of a very long and thought out game. But amazingly enough, there is a way to win a game of chess in only 2 moves. We call this type of checkmate fool's mate, also known as the 2-move checkmate. This checkmate is the fewest possible number of moves known to the game of chess. We're going to show an example of black checkmating white in only 2 moves. We'll start with white moving their pawn to f4, which is not a good move on white's part, since white is opening up its king diagonally, which black can take advantage of. Black's response can be to open up by moving its pawn to e6, which makes space for the queen, or pawn, to easily get out. White makes its second move, further opening up weakness for the king to be attacked on its diagonal. This allows for black to make their second move by moving their queen to h4 and checking the king. When we are in check, we look for 3 ways to get out of check. Remember CPR? You can move the king, or run away. Block the check, or protect. You can capture the checking piece. Capture. In this position, the king has no safe squares to move to. There are no pieces that can block the queen from checking the king, and there are no pieces that can capture the queen. So black has achieved the quickest checkmate possible in only 2 moves. You may be wondering, what's the most popular checkmate for beginners? The 4-move checkmate, which is also called scholar's mate, is one of the most popular and quickest ways to win against your opponent. This checkmate focuses on a particularly weak square. If you were to focus on 3 squares in front of the black king, which one would you think is the weakest and the strongest? The answer for the weakest square is f7. For the strongest squares, there's actually 2 of them, d7 and e7. Let's say white jumps out quickly with the pawn and queen and comes over here and says, check, capturing the d7 pawn. This is a terrible plan because there are several black pieces defending this square. Let's see if you can count them all. How many pieces are guarding that square? The answer is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 pieces defending that square. That is not a good square to attack. Likewise, if you jump out again and attack e7 and charge with check, how many different black pieces are guarding that square? Once again, it's 4 pieces guarding that square. So those 2 squares, d7 and e7, are totally not the right targets to be seeking because they're being defended by a large part of black's army. However, f7 is a very good target because how many pieces are defending that square? That's correct, only 1 piece, which is the king. so this is a great square to be focusing your attack on. So, here are the moves to a 4-move checkmate. To start, white usually opens with pawn on e4. Notice that f7 is on a light square, allowing for the development of both your queen and your bishop on light squares. Black's most popular move in response to white's opening is moving its pawn to e4. Now white can either develop with the bishop or with the queen. White can open up with the bishop to c4. Now the bishop is aiming their attack on the f7 square, which is putting pressure on that pawn. Black develops the knight, and this is where white will bring out her queen. White has two choices on moving the queen. White can either move the queen to h5 or f3. In both these positions, the queen and the bishop are both looking at f7. Now, if black is not careful in their next move and focuses on developing pieces or controlling the center, white can simply play queen takes pawn, and with that move, the game is over. The 4-move checkmate is a great way for anyone that's looking to win a chess game very quickly, and maybe even beat their mom or dad, or even a smart friend at school who might never see it coming. On getting better at chess. Knowing the rules and basic strategies is only the beginning of the game. There's so much to study in chess that you'll never have to stop learning. To improve your game, there are 3 basic things you can do. Number 1, play. Just keep playing. Play as much as possible. You should learn from each game, those you win and those you lose. Number 2, study. If you want to improve your chess game, don't be afraid to keep studying it. There's always something new to learn in the game, and plenty of books out there and other videos to watch. Number 3, most importantly, have fun. Don't get discouraged if you don't win all of your games. Everyone loses in chess. It's part of the game. Even some of the best players lose sometimes. In conclusion, thanks for watching this video. I think you are now ready to start playing some chess. Right now, go find someone to play with and keep having fun with this awesome classic game.